In a certain city there lived a poet who was very philosophical and renowned. He was not a rich man and led a very simple life. A very wealthy businessman living in the same city was getting his daughter married in a 7-star hotel with great pomp and grandeur, and he also invited the poet to attend the wedding alongside the prominent, wealthy and elite guests from the city. On the day of the wedding, the businessman and his family were personally receiving the guests at the lobby of the hotel and ushering them towards the wedding venue. All the wealthy people of the city who had come were decked up, wearing expensive, branded clothing. When the poet arrived, dressed in very simple, non-expensive clothes as always, he waited in a corner for someone to approach him. Forget about approaching. No one even acknowledged his presence. Even the merchant didn't pay any attention and pretended as if he hadn't seen him. The poet quietly walked away and went to a close-by shop where he could hire good clothes. He chose a very high-end, expensive, rich, elegant dress, and as he put on the hired dress and looked into the mirror, he was amazed to see his transformed, changed royal look. When the now regal-looking poet came back to the venue, he was given a grand welcome. The merchant hugged him, treating him with great love and respect, exactly as he would treat his own friend, and kept praising his dressing sense. After introducing the poet to all those present, the merchant led him to the dining area, while still praising his poetry, maturity, and wisdom. He made the poet sit in a very prominent place on a beautifully crafted couch with soft cushions. The food was being served in expensive fine crockery and cutlery, and the merchant lovingly served the delicious meal to the poet with his own hands. And then something strange happened. Instead of eating the meal, the poet started dipping the corner of his coat in the soup. He sprinkled a part of the fancy rice prep on his trouser. Addressing his own clothes, he said, "This is a feast for you, my dear clothes. You guys should enjoy it." All the guests were surprised at this weird behavior. Finding this bizarre, the host asked the poet, "What are you doing, dear sir? How can your clothes eat? And why under the sun would your clothes want to eat?" The poet very quickly and calmly replied, "My dear friend, I'm a little astonished that you are asking me this question. Aren't you the same person who conveniently ignored me when I arrived here dressed up in simple clothes? I think it's my dress, my looks, my attire, my appearance that you value more than me. Now that I've put on these expensive clothes, I see a world of difference in the way that I'm treated here by you. I thought that everything that I received here was for my looks and my clothes, and therefore the food should also be served to my clothes." The embarrassed businessman had learnt his lesson, and seeking forgiveness, he offered his heartfelt apologies to the poet. Dear friends, isn't it sad that we live in a world, a very superficial world, where we are accepted more for what we have than for who we are? We are accepted more for what we wear than for who we are. We are accepted more for what we look like than for who we are. We are accepted more for where we live than for who we are. We are accepted more for which cars we drive than for who we are. Unfortunately, our worth is measured based on our external achievements and value, and not based on the merits of our being a genuine person and a good human being. किसी ने क्या खूब कहा है, जरा सी जेब क्या फट गई, सिक्कों से ज्यादा तो रिश्ते गिर गए. Guys, treat people based on who they are, not based on what they have. And if you find yourself in the company of such shallow-minded people who feed your clothes, keep a high-hello relationship with them and look for genuine friends who can truly see your true worth.